paradox contains a contradiction. There are and have been many contradictory ideas in American history. We say we valued freedom when the country was founded on slavery. Our Pledge of Allegiance says our nation is to have liberty and justice for all, but systemic racism and sexism keep this ideal from applying to everyone. We want to be free to do as we please, but simultaneously be a nation of laws. Another American paradox is the tension between the idea and ideal of democracy and those who have wealth and therefore the power to control the government. This paradox is the contradiction between democracy and oligarchy. I chose this paradox because it is easy to connect the dots for me to see what type of government we have today. In this presentation, I will examine the dynamic tension between democracy and oligarchy. Democracy is government by the people, exercised either directly or through elected representatives. In a democracy, most would agree that the people vote for what they want from their government and get that from the representatives they select. The ideals of democracy include a nation where freedom and equality are valued, free elections are held, decisions are based on majority rule, and citizens vote by secret ballots. In a democracy, people have power. An oligarchy is a form of government in which all power is in a few persons or dominant class. The oligarchs gain control by military might, wealth, religion, or a combination. Once in control, they suppress political opposition by all means possible. From the very beginning of the nation, equality was tied to inequality. The wealthy Southern planters were oligarchs. They controlled the economy and the government for decades leading up to the Civil War. They exploited the slave labor to accumulate wealth. They saw protecting property rights as the only function of the federal government. The Southern planters stayed in control until the rise of the Republican Party and the election of Abraham Lincoln. The Republican Party in the 19th century did think all men should, not just the wealthy, should have a say in what the government did for the people. But after the Civil War, the powerful railroad barons began to take political power and eventually control the government. They continued in power through the Gilded Age. These robber barons built their wealth by exploiting their workers. After the Great Depression, the culture and the law kept the wealthy in check until the Reagan Revolution. Reagan dismantled the powerful labor unions. Without the unions, the political power of the workers weakened, causing a decline in the middle class. Reagan also lowered the highest tax bracket from the rich from 90% to 25%. That incentivized CEOs to keep more money in their pockets instead of investing it into their employees. According to Dr. Heather Cox Richardson, the wealthy use language to rise to power following these 4 steps. They destabilize the society. They use language to construct a picture of an other as justification for their ascendancy over that other. They stoke fear and anger to keep the voters they are hurting on their team. They isolate them by controlling the media, and they suppress or jockey the vote to stay in power. The destruction of the labor unions, the legalization of political contributions, and the Supreme Court ruling that money is speech have all worked together to weaken the middle class. More legislation passed by the federal government for many years has gone to help increase the wealth of the wealthy. Every politician who aspires to federal office is susceptible, if not guilty, to a system that requires millions of dollars to participate. Most members of Congress and senators are never able to stop fundraising even if they wanted to. The control of the government is in the hands of a few. Both sides stoke fear and anger. Examples of voter suppression are on display. I agree with the quote by President Jimmy Carter on the slide. We've become an oligarchy instead of a democracy. However, oligarchies have come and gone in the past. I hope that I will get to see this one pass as well.